We start the events of today, happening today at Buraz Zenoni. We want to start the program of today, and before that, let me welcome Reverend Sarah from Sitam to lead us in the opening prayer.
Do I say good morning or good afternoon? It's afternoon already. Oh, then allow me to say good afternoon and also say praise Jesus. Amen. Even for those that are not necessarily Christians, maybe there are some that are not Christians here. It's still a good thing to praise God, because either way, that's what we were created to do, isn't it? And so we want to appreciate God for every one of us who is here. We are gifts of God because He's the one who gives life. All life is given of Him, and it's therefore good that we can celebrate it even as we come together. At this juncture, I do not want to say much. I know I was requested to say 1 or 2, 3 things, and then we pray. Other than to say we want to thank God for Frolics of Hope in Africa, to our sister Nkatha, and to the other people, the different organizations represented here that are calling a beautiful work that God desires us to do. I'm reminded of His word in the Bible, in the book of Micah, chapter 6 and verse 8. The Bible tells us that God has made known to man what He requires of him. And that is to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly before God. And I believe that's the reason why we are here. We are here because of hearts of people that have been turned to mercy and to do justice where there has been injustices, to show mercy where there has been abuse of that mercy and lack of kindness. And they are reaching out by the grace of God to bring about that mercies and that love and that kindness, so that men may know that irrespective of where we are coming from, sometimes very, very harsh and dark and stormy environments in life, that even there, God will reach out to us. And God does that by using people. In very rare incidences, will God send angels? The reason being, He made us to be His hands and His arms in reaching out to those in needs and to showing care where that care is needed. And that's why I want to appreciate the Frolics of Hope and other organizations that are extending that heart of mercy and seeking justice for the disadvantaged, and particularly those that are trafficked or gone through the abuse of human trafficking in all its dimensions. And so I pray that our interaction here today will make the day richer, better, educative to all of us, and especially open up our bowels of mercy so that we can extend a hand where it is needed to the glory of God. Let us bow down our heads and pray together. Everlasting Father, in the precious name of our Lord Jesus, we really want to appreciate you and to honor you for giving us the opportunity to gather this day together with the Frolics of Hope in Africa and the different other organizations such as Heart, O King of Glory, that are represented here, who are reaching into our community to mitigate on matters of injustices, unkindness, and particularly human trafficking that has penetrated our society as we exhibit more and more ungodliness in our society. And it's our prayer, Heavenly Father, that the interactions of this day will make us richer in understanding your heart for the people, including the people who have been trafficked to King of Glory. We also want to pray that we will become wiser in ways in which we can work together and join our hearts together as a society, including reaching out to the policymakers, including reaching out to arms of advocacy and different other arms in our nation, and particularly reaching out to the family level to bring an awareness of our need to protect one another and our need to respect and uphold the human life in the respect and the dignity for which you created us. And so, Father, as we begin this meeting, we want to give thanks to you for the various activities that will be taking place here. And we ask that you will be glorified in it all. We recognize that there are people we have been waiting for that are still on their way. And it's our prayer, Jehovah God, that you would quicken them so that we can be able to be one even as we begin and as we continue. And I particularly want to pray for the organizers. It's very easy when such delays happen for them to become discouraged and disheartened. But I pray that God, the purpose for which this day was set, will eventually be fulfilled. And you will help us that at the end of the day, the glory and the honor will come back to you. We give you praise and we give you glory, for we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you and thank you.
Haya, tunawakaribisha wote kwa event ya siku ya leo. Today's event, just know, imeorganiziwa na Frolics of Hope Africa with other like-minded and non-governmental organization, and the aim, and by the end of today, you should know, Anti-Human Trafficking Conference and Fundraising Gala is here. Right about now, I can assure you, let me explain to you. Human trafficking, by today, you should know what is human trafficking. In a simple term, human trafficking is a modern form of slavery involving the illegal trade of people for the purpose of exploitation. And today, we are honored to have Jerry Mwangi, who will lead us in the panel discussion and conferencing. Mpigieni makofi. Time yake ikifika, I'll welcome him. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, mumekaribishwa. Wow. Wapi makofi yao tena. They go by the name Madare Dancers, traditional dancers. Thank you for the wonderful performance. Asanteni sana. Aya, tunaendelea vizuri. This time I want to welcome with a poem, Frolics of Hope Africa kids with a poem. Wapigeni makofi, make some hearty clap for them as they make their way here. Yes, asante sana. Thank you very much for honoring this event, this anti-human trafficking conference and fundraising gala. Frolics of Hope, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, in front of you is Frolics of Hope Africa, ready to recite a poem entitled, Can Anyone Hear Me? Welcome. Are they doing the same? Apparently not. In other lands, they take your body in front of your hands. Just in a second, you become someone else's plan, someone else's treasure, someone else's pleasure. Can anyone hear me? Yesterday I was free. Now I have to obey. I'm beaten, I'm broken. All I can do is pray for someone to hear my cry. I'm locked up in jail because of a child trafficker. My body is not for sale. Can anyone hear me? I have no name. Now they just recognize me on the news as a slave. I'm someone's daughter, someone's son, someone's child. I do have a name, I do have a face, but they have taken everything away from me. Now I am just a number. I have been erased. Can anyone hear me? We cannot pretend child trafficking does not exist. Do something, it will get worse. The numbers will grow, the pain will grow, the suffering will never end. Can anyone hear me? Child trafficking is one of the fastest growing crimes in the world today. Victims need a voice. We need to stop the madness. We have to act now to keep the predator at bay. We need to end it. Have you heard me? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next session, we want to go to the conferencing and panel discussion. We want to know each and every detail about the event of today. So I want to welcome, ladies and gentlemen, introducing Jerry Mwangi. Jerry Mwangi will be the host right now. Thank you very much, DJ.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I know it's been a long day, right? But we're getting to the heart of it and we'll have a conversation. But before we do, we're going to watch a clip, a short film. It's 10 minutes long. That's why I'm saying I can't call it a clip. A clip is shorter. So we'll watch something that I worked on a year and a half ago about. And then I'll tell you, we'll have a conversation after that. So welcome.
For over a year, Africa Eye has been investigating Kenya's underground. Every year, hundreds of children disappear from the streets of Kenya. But who takes them and where they end up has always been a mystery. Until now. For over a year, Africa Eye has been investigating Kenya's underground trade in stolen children. My name is Jerry Mwangi. As a mother, the story I'm about to tell you is my worst nightmare. Yes, an illegal black market in children has been operating in Kenya. A series of abductions targeting children has rocked Nairobi recently, sending chills down the spines of many parents. It is a trade in human lives that preys on our most vulnerable women, leaving unimaginable trauma in its wake.
It is a business stripped of any human emotions. Babies here are just another trading commodity. They are casually equated to grains.
In Nairobi, it is not hard to find women like Susan. Desperate mothers searching for their missing children, often for years after they were stolen. Susan has tried everything, but to no avail.
Nikienda kwa barabara nipata mtoto anafanana na yeye, nasikia kashipaya. Nikasema tafadhali ingemshika nione tu alikufa, nimshike baada ya kupotea na mtu.
So sorry. An estimated 60,000 children sleep on the streets of Nairobi. They have become prime targets for child traffickers. I went to meet Rebecca Wanjiru. She has been homeless for years and has raised her children on the streets of Nairobi. Almost a decade ago, Rebecca herself fell victim to the traffickers. Her child was stolen from her as she slept and has never been seen since.
Amidst relatives today, the children got snatched in the streets in their sleep, and they haven't seen them in so many years. They don't know whether they're alive or dead. I hope with them that they will find their children someday.
But who are the shadowy figures preying on these women? We've been approached by an informant. She claims to know an active child trafficker called Anita, who steals children and sells them to the highest bidder. Our informant agrees to go undercover and to meet Anita. She wants to find out why these children are stolen and where they end up. But just how many Anitas are out there on our streets? The simple answer is that we just do not know. There are no reliable statistics on child trafficking in Kenya. It's not long before Anita calls our source to another meeting. She claims to have stolen another child and already has a customer waiting. But how big a problem is child trafficking in Kenya, and why is it happening?
This is a big issue in Kenya. We have the culture that to keep a marriage you have to have a child,
And on top of that, you also have to have a boy. So you go back to the village and they call you your parent. They call you a dry piece of wood. So what do you do to save your marriage? You steal a child.
Anita calls our informant to a meeting in downtown Nairobi. To her horror, she finds that Anita has stolen yet another baby. Anita claims she already has a buyer lined up for the baby who is prepared to pay her 50,000 shillings. In a desperate attempt to stop Anita from selling the child, our informant tries to lure Anita into a more lucrative deal.
Kuna mjamaa aliniunganisha na mama. Mama anataka kutuimba. Mama amekubalia tato hata kama ni kienyeji. Huyu mwingine wa kichwani ndio anatoa kienyeji. Siko sawa.
Anita appears to have taken the bait. A child's life is in immediate danger, so we have reported the case to the police. They have launched an undercover operation to take down Anita. It's been decided that I should pose as the buyer and that a policewoman should accompany me, pretending to be my maid. Anita has called us to her base, a notorious backstreet in downtown Nairobi. Anita appears, but she seems cautious. And to my dismay, there is no sign of the baby. Now I must convince her that I am a real customer with a genuine problem.
Na sasa unajua once umejua kitu kama hiyo unafanya mimi aliniambia nikuje niongee na wewe.
Suddenly, our meeting is interrupted by a local police officer who is enforcing COVID restrictions. He has no idea that Anita is the target of a sting. As soon as the police leave, Anita continues the negotiations. Anita agrees to the deal. We arrange to meet later that afternoon. As 5 o'clock approaches, our team regroups. The trap is set. As soon as Anita arrives with the baby, the police will swoop in, arrest her, and release the child. But she never does. 5 o'clock comes and goes, but Anita is nowhere to be found.
So we hope that she will get in touch and she will bring the baby next time and we can save this baby and we can stop Anita from destroying other children's lives.
But Anita never calls. A few days later, we get word that she sold the baby to a higher bidder. We tried to put our allegations to her, but she did not respond. Our attempt to reunite the child with its mother has failed. The police will continue their search for Anita. But tonight, like every night,
Thousands of children will sleep on the streets of our capital, and those who prey on them are watching, waiting for their moment to pounce.
I'd like to invite Isha, Reverend Sarah, and Nkatha, and Kimberly. So my name is Njeri Mwangi. I'm the one who did the story. It was a documentary. You can find it on Instagram, on YouTube. It's called Baby Stealers. Okay? You can watch it later. It's much longer than you see here. This was just a short clip. I'm going to ask my panelists to invite themselves. I'll start from Isha. Tell us your name and what you do.
I'm Isha. I am the founder of Isha Global, and I am trying to help human trafficking victims work through their trauma from human trafficking.
Thank you, Isha. My name is Sarah Kamau, and a pastor with Christ is the Answer Ministries Nakuru, and I'm glad to be involved in this debate.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kimberly Nduta. I'm a student. I'm supposed to be in Form 4 right now.
Thank you. The reason we are here because we want to acknowledge anti-trafficking. Trafficking and kidnapping of children and adults, men and women, si kitu mpya, si ndio? It's things we know about. But there is a level to normalize vitu zingine. They're not such a big deal. And for many reasons. Maybe tumezoea, hatujui ni mbaya, juu tumezoea kuiona. Or maybe because we feel helpless, there's nothing we can do. And in the normalizing it, some places we don't do anything about it, even when we are fully aware that this is wrong. Now, I want to ask Isha, what are the misconceptions about human trafficking? It's both, when I talk of human trafficking, I mean of adults and children. What misconceptions are out there?
A lot of people think that human trafficking is just for labor, where people are taken to work on farms or in factories. But there's many different types of human trafficking. There's sex trafficking, labor trafficking, and a lot of time children trafficking. And a lot of people only think it happens to boys, but it happens to both boys and girls.
Okay. What then? How do you define trafficking?
Trafficking is is when you take a person and use them for your own gain and benefit, and basically take all of their human rights and make them do work for you, produce goods and services.
You said there are different types of trafficking. Can you name them so that I want these children to leave this room very aware. So when you speak, let the children understand you. So what types of trafficking are there?
So there's labor trafficking, where people are taken to work in factories or farms or for other people to do different services. And then there's sex trafficking, where people are repeatedly used for pornography or individual sex services.
Okay. People have defined what trafficking is and dismiss what it is not. Maybe to this panel, to Susan and to Kimberly, if you have a response to this, what would you say you've seen around us that you could consider at a personal level to be trafficking? I mean, given what Isha has defined, has described, do you think you've seen trafficking around? Have you seen people that have been trafficked? Is there something that is going on in our community that we have allowed that by Isha's definition is considered trafficking?
Can I allow Kimberly to go in first, if you don't mind?
Okay. Yes, I have seen people being trafficked. I do have a friend who has been trafficked from another country. But what I can say is, it's true. It's going on. Even right now, I bet there are kids who are being taken over the border. And I think we should stop it. We should just stop it. Just hear out their cry, yeah.
I think one of my response to that is that, yes, it's happening, but maybe we don't call it human trafficking. We may have many other names for it. For example, there has been very many cases of children being abducted. We look at it as crime. All you think is that, either that parents are not taking good care of the children, and so they leave them to wander wrong. Or when you look at it, you feel like, where could that child has gone? But Larry, with the many issues that, occupies one's mind, rarely do we ask, why is it happening and why is it so frequent as the years goes by? So it's like we silence our conscience to think about it, so that you are not interrogating, or as a community we are not fully interrogating what is happening with an eye of looking for solution. I think the other one, especially when she talks about the labor trafficking, again, we may not call it that, but you will hear somebody saying, somebody is getting me a house help, maybe from Uganda or from Tanzania or from wherever. We never really sit down and say, how did this person come to you? I mean, how did you get this house help from Uganda? How did you get, are the parents aware of it? Do they have your contact so that they know that you have their child? Do they know where you stay so that they can visit you and check how your child is doing? It may not be from Uganda, it may even be from up country. And all you know is that, and at least I know this is something we've been talking about, especially when one has employed another age kind of labor. And that can be across board. It could be to take care of sheep, it could be to take care of cows, and you see them on the road, walking with those animals, and you're thinking, this child is too young, they ought to be in school. But again, like I'm saying, hardly do we take time to interrogate why this child is doing what they are doing, and how did you get that child? And I think for me, what I'm getting from this is that there is need to intentionally create awareness right from the family level and above, in order for us to know what human trafficking is about. Allow me to confess that when Katha, the one who heads the Frolics of Hope, came to my office and told me about human trafficking in Nakuru, I asked her, how does that happen? Because in my mind, the human trafficking I knew is groups of people that you see have been, are coming from Ethiopia. They have been found in a certain building in Nairobi, locked up. They were being taken to South Africa or to other places. That's the kind of thing that comes to most of the people's mind when they think about human trafficking, but not in terms of the definitions that we are getting here today.
Thank you so much. You've said a lot of things, because I keep wondering, around us, how do we identify human trafficking? And you've brought it close home. You've said people from the rural area or vice versa, tending to sheep, I bring a maid. And for me, what equates it to trafficking is that this person that is in my home, do their parents know where they are? Do their relatives know where they are? Do they get permission to leave and go as they please, over the weekend or over some day in the week, for whatever reason? Or are they held in my house until the day I decide they can leave? And I've seen a lot of people who, unfortunately, keep their helps. I come from Nairobi, so their helps never go home. They're there to serve them 24/7. They wake up very early in the morning and go to bed very late. Yeah? someone will go to bed at 2 and they're expected to make breakfast at 5. And it could be a big homestead, or not necessarily, maybe one child or two children. And this person works, and I call it slaves, through the day for very little money, sometimes if at all. Yeah. So, Ish, I want to come back to you. How do we see human trafficking around us in our communities? Because in my experience, I love watching movies. The way I thought of human trafficking is what I've seen in movies. People in containers being shipped from one place to another, their passports taken away, and their communication is cut. If they have any phones or anything, there's a lot of beating that goes on. They're not allowed to move, they're locked up, and then they're sent to wherever. And if they die, they're thrown to sea. I mean, that's my mind. In my mind, that's what I think, or I thought human trafficking was, and that's all that it was. I never thought it to be, I never brought it home to what Susan is saying. And so, Sarah, I never brought it home to that level. So when we think of where we live, I believe we've all seen human trafficking in one way or form or shape or another. Yeah? How would you break it down for us to acknowledge maybe that we've seen trafficking? And like Sarah said, maybe that's not what we call it. It's such a big word. Hey, trafficking. It's a big word. So no, it's not happening. But it is happening, but we don't call it. So maybe how would you speak to that?
So human trafficking is essentially like modern day slavery. So you can see it when, like one version of it is when people are working and they get paid very, very little, like barely anything. And they don't have access to clean water or electricity. So people who work in sweatshops, that's a form of human trafficking. So like big factories that force people to work nonstop for hours on end, like you said, and then get paid very, very, very little is a form of human trafficking. Also another form is when children are forced to, people take children and force them to work in their homes for no cost at all. So those are both forms of human trafficking.
Do you think family members can be traffickers? Could I traffic
yes.
a cousin, relative?
For sure. So one form of it is, sexual exploitation. So a family member can, rape another family member, and that is human trafficking as well.
Who would you say are the most vulnerable victims of human trafficking?
Low-income people, people in poverty, a lot of people who live in countries where women aren't treated as well as men, and with corrupted governments. Those are all people who are the most vulnerable to human trafficking.
Earlier on you said that human trafficking is on the rise. Why do you think this is so?
I think because it's an easy way for people to make money. It's become more known as well. Before it wasn't as common for people to do, human trafficking, but now it's becoming a more known topic, so more people are getting into it. And since it's such an easy way to make money, people just want to do it, so you don't have to do as much work for it.
What do you think maybe governments need to do? Or so there is that, what you've talked about. What is the role of government or our authorities in curbing or reducing or even bringing an end to it?
So I think creating systems where people can easily escape poverty, and where people can, the government is very corrupt where human trafficking takes place most of the time. So the government should help these people by providing better health care, better job opportunities, so that people have a better flow of income, so that they can have a better lifestyle, so they're not in the place where they can be human trafficked.
Kimberly. Kimberly is a victim of human trafficking. And who can tell better your story than yourself, right? So I want Kimberly to tell us whatever she's comfortable with, because we think we don't know anybody that has been trafficked. But here is somebody who's been through it and has lived to tell it. There are those who've lived to tell it also. But Kimberly has her own story that is heart-wrenching, and she will share what she can, okay? And I want us to learn how these things are happening around us, and we walk right past them, okay? So Kimberly will talk to us whatever she's able to talk.
Hi. As you have heard, I'm Kimberly. When I was 11 years old, my stepdad raped me. And I told my mom. He was arrested. But 3 years later, he got out. And he stayed like for a year. Then they got back with mom. And we started to live together again. So after like 6 months, I think so, 6 months, he started doing it again and threatening me. Until last year, in September, my mom found out. And after she kicked him out of the house, later on we got to find out that I was pregnant. I was pregnant. Then earlier this year, in April, I remember vividly, it was April 7th, I was at my mom's workplace. Then she was called home by my grandmother to come. There was a pastor. My she's a Mokorino. So there was this pastor who came, who said that God sent him to speak to my mom. So my mom went to Njoro, and me and my little sister were left at the workplace. So in the evening, she came with the so-called pastor. He started like, what will I call it? Yani kunifanya ni feel guilty that I'm carrying my stepdad's child. I was pained, and then he said that my mom sent him to go to a supermarket to buy anointing to give me, then I go back, and then he will go. But he told my mom, in different occasions, he told my mom that now we are going to the supermarket. But he told me that my mom had said that we go to his church so that he can pray for me, so that it won't be a curse on me. It was around 7 in the evening, so we went. We boarded a matatu to go to Ngata. On reaching Ngata, it was around 7:30. We walked, and then I started asking him, kwani hatufiki? Aren't we reaching the church? There he started to beat me. He removed his kilemba. He started smoking. And then we were going Salga, uko juu kwa wakale, uko juu. And then he raped me 4 times. And he started inserting sticks in me, trying to remove the pregnancy. So around that 1, saa 7 usiku, he left me in an abandoned church, an unfinished one. He said that he was going to get water. I don't know water was for what, I don't know. There I sneaked away. I hid, waited till morning. Then I walked through the highway, and there I got a good Samaritan who helped me to reach town. And there I went to my mom's workplace, and my mom hadn't opened the shop, so I went to the neighbor, and she called my mom, and there I found out that my mom was in police station. Alikuwa ameenda kushtaki kuwa nimepotea. So we went to the police station, and I was sent to the hospital. I went to the hospital, and they checked me. The following day we went back to the police station, and there was this police who said that I had ran away to go have fun, that I was lying. And because he had gone with the phone, the other police who had my case now, we told him to track the phone because the phone wasn't off. He said he would track it. The following day we came, he said that the phone is in town at my mom's workplace. We asked how, but we later came to find out that he didn't track it. So when Friday came, he said that he was going home. His family lives in Mombasa. So he said that he won't do anything until he comes back because he was going to meet his family. Since then, we've never heard from him. And till this day, my dad's still roaming. The other guy who raped me is still roaming free. Nothing's been done. We've tried to ask what's going on. There's nothing. In short, nothing's been done.
Thank you for sharing your story. Trafficking is all around us. Sorry. In our families, neighbors next door, and we know these things. Are we those parents that when your child tells you something, you will not believe them first? I have 3 children. I have always said, mtoto wangu akiniambia kitu nitamwamini kwanza. I will believe my child first. Kesi baadaye. If they lie to me, I will whoop them baadaye. Because they could also lie, sindio? But my child, I will believe whatever they say, and they know that. So in terms of protecting our children from perpetrators, people even known to us, fathers, uncles, the people at the farm, and this is the story of one girl. Boys also, it happens to them. Sindio? It happens to boys as well. Isha, how can we keep ourselves, our children, safe from traffickers?
I think we have to educate, and we have to spread awareness about human trafficking because many people don't know that it exists. People don't even know that slavery is still happening. If we spread awareness and we educate and we have our government help people get out of poverty, I think that we have a chance of getting rid of human trafficking.
Sarah, I'm angry at the church right now, but that was not a man of God, for sure. But religion has been good and bad, because when somebody would say that this is a curse, it's not something she brought on herself, it's something that happened to her. How is the church, or how, let me ask first, how is the church assisting not just victims of human trafficking, but just people that come with cries and complaints of issues that could be human trafficking, forced labor, slavery, and mostly it's family. So how would you say the church is handling something like that?
Allow me to begin by saying, first of all, I want to say sorry to Kimberly for the experiences, and pray that she will be able to get counseling that will help her to go through healing in this. And then say, when we answer the question about the church, there must be a different ways in which we address that word church. One, because different denominations handle things differently. Secondly, because the church is made up of individuals living in a community or in society. And we usually say the church is a voice within that community in which you are living in. Sometimes the expression of the church, if I may take, for example, from where I'm coming from CITAM, I know one of the ways in which we have tried to help. We are not doing everything that we can, and maybe we are doing the most that we can for now. One of the things we do this is children who come to us, particularly when it comes to children, and we feel that they need assistance, particularly when it comes to withdrawing them from the hostile environment, and we take them to our children home. We call it Kiserian Children Home, where they are getting education and they are protected as they grow and growing in different other areas. We also have a number of children whom we are assisting within their own families. They stay with their families because we feel that the reason why they would want to have been away, because when we are talking about trafficking, I'm also thinking, is there personal trafficking? Is there a way one lands away from their home and the security of their family, and they are willing to sell themselves out there to the minimum that they can get? Because those are some of the cases that we help in when we realize that it's because this person had reached a level of hopelessness in going to school and everything, but it's not that their home is completely unsafe for them to stay. And so we have a program in which we offer education to such. There is also a place where in that one we do in what we call CITAM Global, but there is also a place in which if someone comes to us, one of the things we do is to assist with home. I know 2 members of our church right now who are learning children's homes, and who whenever we have food, because we have what we call Mercy Basket, a system in which we encourage people, if you have harvested extra, when you go to shop and you shop extra and you bring food to us, we are able to take that food and provide for those particular members of the church who are learning the children home. Maybe because there's an organization, we may not be able to establish many other homes, but we do know, like I have said, that there is what I see, personal gifting in certain people who feel this is the direction they would like to serve the community, and they start those children home. And as the church where we come in is to help in counseling, is to help support where we can, for example, in food and such, and in any other way that we can. But I will not say that that is happening in every other church. And that's why I said I don't want to speak general and say the church is doing this, because it's different structures for different organizations. However, allow me also to say that sometimes one of the reasons, for example, why people will be deceived, because I'll call it a deception, is when somebody comes and says they are men or women of God, but because you don't interrogate them to know what exactly they are talking about, you take their word as gospel truth. In this country, we have very many people who are masquerading as men and women of God. They have no training even for sharing, for preaching the word. They have no particular place from where they are operating, but they also know that there are people who are growable and easy to be deceived for them to make wealth. And that has given a bad name across board because that's what we like to shout. For example, somebody like that who will go and rape a lady and they came with their turban saying they are men of God. Did the mother take time to interrogate? When this man says God has shown them, whom does she talk to know whether this voice is from God or not? And you hand over your child to a hyena, and then we come back and say the churches. I think we also have to say that there is personal responsibility where people assume they are Christians, but really they are not even practicing the word of God, and that we need to wisen up because growability can happen with anyone and from anywhere.
Thank you. I think that gives some sense of perspective about personal responsibility. What I was saying about we being those parents, we being those neighbors, we being those uncles and aunties who are not doing anything about a violation that is blatant in our eyes. A lot of times we sit in forums like this and discuss many things, different topics about different things that affect people we work with, but we don't ask the people that we work with what their opinion is. So again, I'll come back to you, Kimberly.
Before you go back to Kimberly, let me say something, if you don't mind. I'm thinking of the aspects of cultural aspects that influences human trafficking, because it can be from the description of what we are talking about here. In my mind, I can see a lot of cultural aspect. For example, where maybe children are orphaned by both of their parents and they are left in the care of the relatives. And these relatives feel the best way to help these children is to look for somebody somewhere to employ them. And that is very frequent. And it is never looked at as child trafficking. It looks at like removing them from home to go and earn a living, but there is never any follow-up. And that's, I think, one of the most common within our culture here, where we just, the child will come out from study 6, from study 7, and the parents or the grandparents know, and they will give them out. Also because of poverty. What I see in most cases, and those are the things then we try to say as a society and as a church. How can we help one another? I know we have a program, for example, which we call Support a Student. We have programs in which we help widows so that we can work together to help them in raising those children, because the dynamics are very, very many and the needs are coming from all quarter, but the cultural aspect. And I felt of talking about this cultural aspect because of your clip. Your clip talked about when a woman cannot bear a son, or when a woman cannot bear children and there is great pressure from the family and the in-laws that you must give us a child. I know that happens in different other cultures. And the reason why I picked up on the cultural one is because in the church, one of the things we try to do is to, as we are teaching about, giving, that children are a gift from God. One of the things we tell parents is, it's very possible that you may not have your biological children, but there are processes in which you can foster children, and there are laws in this country that you can follow in order to foster a child, and you can raise that child as your child. Or you can adopt a child, and there are rules that, again, in this country you can follow to adopt a child and make them their very own. But if that is not, that discussion is not happening at the family level, we are not mitigating it. I picked up something from the song that was sung by the Mathare dancers, the Mwomboko one, and there is one in which they say, a statement that said, I cannot compare my bride with my mother. I don't know how it was said. Siwezi linganisha. Actually, it's, I can't compare my bride with my mother. In other words, the mother holds a stronger voice in the home of this man than the wife. If therefore the mother is pushing this man that you must give me a grandchild, all whatever nature you must give me children, I can tell you that home will be run by the voice of the mother and not the voice of the wife and the husband. And because it's a cultural norm, when it is captured in a song, it is very acceptable. And we can even think that the song is actually good because it's speaking to our culture. But that is where it all begins, by the way. Within those cultural norms where you will do anything in order to appease your mother just because your wife has not been able to conceive a child, and so the cycle begins. I'm saying we must interrogate, including our culture and the way it builds into what we are discussing here right now.
Thank you. Do you have anything to say, Isha? No. There is the issue of culture, there is religion, there is poverty. So a lot of things play into what we're discussing, yeah? Why people will get into trafficking, why people will volunteer in a way to be trafficked because it's better than the situation they're coming from. It's from worse to bad, and that's acceptable to some people. I believe every child should be in school. Every single child should be in school. And I wish a representative of government was here, but the government must try and make sure that every child is in school, because then when they're in school, they're not available to be used and to be distracted and to be put into places where we shouldn't be seeing them in the first place. But because that has not been something that has been enforced, we don't question when we see children. They're all over the place. But they should be in school. They should only not be in school when they're on holiday. But that's not the case. And I wanted to ask Kimberly, I said, we talk about how we can help, what we can do, but we never ask victims, people who've been through these things, what they wish could have happened and what was lacking, or what have you found lacking. So let me ask you, Kimberly, what do you wish was available to you? Or what do you wish can be available now to help you live your life better after all the ordeals that you've been through?
I wish that the police would have believed me. They would have taken action, because the two guys would have been behind bars, and I will be able to go back with my baby at home. Because even if we go at home, we are at risk because they may come after us or after the baby because she's an evidence. I just want to be heard. I just want the police to take action, because maybe the police have been bribed by the guys, I don't know, but I just want justice. I do want to go back to school, but the school where I was, rumors have spread that I'm like a prostitute because I'm having a baby at this age. It spread. We went to explain ourselves to the principal, but she said that I could go back to school next year on January, so that I shouldn't do the KCSE right now because of the baby, because I gave birth to her prematurely. I gave birth to her at 7 months. Now they spread rumors that I was sleeping around with men. That's why I got pregnant, that I'm a bad girl. Now the whole school identify me as a prostitute, but they don't know the real story, but the principal does. I just want to go back to school. I don't want the rumors. I don't want the hate. I just want things to go back to normal, because when I feel hated, I feel like the baby isn't a blessing to me. I feel that she's a curse because me having her has ruined my life. My dreams have been shattered. I want to become a nurse. But with all the things going on, I don't see it.
You can be anything you want to be. We live in a very broken society, right, people? Very broken. And it may seem like your dreams have been dashed. But you're still so young, so young. And everything you dream for, that and more is what I wish for you. Because it's possible. So don't give up. Don't give up. Whatever happens, however it happens, whenever it happens, don't give up. Okay? That's just what I would want you to take away from this meeting. And for us all, we have a responsibility to one another, to our families, and to our community that we cannot escape, because we are also potential victims. If we don't think of another person, you need to look at the mirror and see that person in the mirror. That's you. We are victims, potential victims. Nobody sees this coming. So we don't think that any of these things could happen to us, because we are well kept. You know, whatever stories, whatever things we may have told ourselves. Let's remember we live in a very broken society, a broken country, a broken world, right? And we each have a responsibility. So know what that responsibility is and take it up. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It's the small things we do, put together, that will roll this world up on its belly. Or is it back on its feet? I don't know. I don't know whether we are on our backs, or I don't know whether we're on our feet, moving in the wrong direction. Yeah? But it's all of us doing the small things that we ought to be doing, that we can move back to humanity. A world where Kimberly can realize her dreams. So my call to us today is to take up our responsibilities. Hold our government to account, hold our authorities to account. Those two men should not be on the streets. And because they are, every woman here, you're at risk. I am at risk. And what am I going to do about that? Knowing that there are two prowlers that she knows very well. They're out there. So I don't know if I live here. I don't know if they'll find me in Nairobi. They're somewhere out there. So every woman, this is very personal. It's not Kimberly's problem. It's very personal for each one of us. Maybe I'll ask for just closing remarks from Isha, then from Sarah. And if you have any remarks, Kimberly, to close, you can also give. Then we can release people to go for lunch.
Yeah, exactly. We need to help spread awareness about this cause, because millions of people around the world are being human trafficked, and there's nothing being done about it because the government is corrupt in those countries and is not helping them to find the traffickers, and something needs to be done. Whether it's spreading awareness or donating money to organizations, you can help, and you have a voice to do so.
Thank you, Njiri. To my mind comes two things. One is that we need to amplify this voice beyond here. And I keep thinking, are we going to do this in a church service, or do we need to organize like a conference, maybe with a part of the people here, and make this our discussion so that it is much louder out there for people to understand how you can become a trafficker without intentionally intending to be. Because you strengthen the network when you do things even when you don't know that that's exactly what you're doing. But secondly, that we, besides amplifying the advocacy on this, that there are resources needed for us to say, how do we mobilize the little resources we have to give support where that is needed? Because it takes much to say, for example, Kimberly will go to school and her child will also grow. We are saying that that child needs to be taken care of by somebody as she goes through her education. We are saying that there is a lot of networking that is needed to bring about the psychosocial support that is needed in order to make that happen. Yeah, so I feel like it needs something bigger. I feel something bigger, like the people who are seeking for positions of MCA, positions of MPs and senators, our judiciary. I feel like we have a number of key stakeholders who needs to be in a gathering like this. And maybe we need to take this discussion further. But in it all, we need the healing that comes from God. Because at the end of it all, unless he heals our souls and our minds and our spirit, with all the education, with all the other things, we may never experience wholeness. It is for somebody like Kimberly to know, irrespective of the pain she has gone through, that God can bring a beauty out of her ashes. And my prayer is that her cry for revenge, it's a cry for justice, would be answered, but also that she would find personal healing and personal forgiveness in order to be able to move forward.
I just want to say that people should become aware that a lot of things are happening. I know I'm not the only one. People are out there. They aren't speaking out, but I urge you to speak out and share that. I know that not all people can be trusted, because somebody who hurt me the most was close to me. My stepdad. He was close to me. We lived together in the same house. I just want you to become aware and know who you trust.
I have nothing else to add. I think I have said my piece. And I want to just appreciate my panel here. Isha, thank you. Sarah and Kimberly. And also thank you for staying put way past your lunchtime. I want to also believe that we are not living here the same way we came. We are challenged, we are educated more than we know, we are more informed, and we have work to do. Every one of us. Every one of us has work to do. So, thank you for your time and enjoy your lunch. I'll give it back to the MC and we'll see you later.
and gentlemen, in front of you is Frolics of Hope Africa, ready to recite a poem entitled, Can Anyone Hear Me? Welcome. Aren't you the same? Apparently not. In other lands, they take your body in front of your hands. Just in a second, you become someone else's plan, someone else's treasure, someone else's pleasure. Can anyone hear me? Yesterday I was free. Now I have to obey. I'm beaten, I'm broken. All I can do is pray for someone to hear my cry. I'm locked up in jail because of a child trafficker. My body is not for sale. Can anyone hear me? I have no name. Now they just recognize me on the news as a slave. I'm someone's daughter, someone's son, someone's child. I do have a name, I do have a face, but they have taken everything away from me. Now I am just a number. I have been erased. Can anyone hear me? We cannot pretend child trafficking does not exist. Do something. It will get worse. The numbers will grow. The pain will grow. The suffering will never end. Can anyone hear me? Child trafficking is one of the fastest growing crimes in the world today. Victims need a voice. We need to stop the madness. We have to act now to keep the predator at bay. We need to end it. Have you heard me? Thank you.
Can anyone? Your message simefika vizuri, loud and clear. So this time we want to welcome Madare dancers, cultural dance with an item. Then we proceed from there.
So dance from Central Province of Kenya, from the Kikuyu community. The dance is known as Kagisha. This dance was performed in welcoming warriors after they come back from the battle. And in this dance, there is a part we request whoever will wish to dance with us. All of you, you are welcome. Enjoy the dance. Mama
Asa ne jamba sitoshi maharo. Neagima.
kame emonyoka unoneke emonywa
Reganyama
enaware
Gadakame emonyoka gunoneke
emogeniare mochoya eniarute
Neathie bio
monyenyo mania kinya emogenio
Remosyoyo
eniarute
Romerigo emone nyomba ne kinya
emonywa ware ganyama enaware kame emonyoka unoneke emonywa
Reganyama Gadakame emonyoka gunoneke
enge kinya mochiochio enyondo
Neithambio bio ithambio
omaguta enge kinya
Mosyocio
mochio
Neithambio eikehakagwo maguta
enge kinya mochio
Okuo thĩinĩ wapi makofi tena. That has been a good ice breaking. Wow. Makofi nyingine tena sana. They are doing an amazing. That's a nice piece. Now we want to go. Niliwaambia tutakuwa tunachukua muda mfupi sana. Tutachukua muda mfupi sana. We want to go to our fundraising gala and we want to do in a style. Now I want to invite Isha Global to say a speech, and if you have your donation, you can give as well.
Good afternoon. I would first most like to thank Ms. Nakatha and her entire staff and volunteers at Frolics of Hope Africa for an unbelievable experience to work with the cause I'm very passionate about. The joy and fulfillment I have received from this opportunity is hard to explain in words. I have much gratitude for you and to all of the attendees. Thank you for allowing me to be here with all of you and have the opportunity to challenge an unwelcome global issue, such as human trafficking and child exploitation. Human trafficking, as defined by the United Nations, is the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of persons by means of the threat or use of force or coercion for the purpose of exploitation. Around the world, 25 million people are victims of labor trafficking. 4.8 million people are victims of sexual exploitation, 1 million being children. And 4.1 million people are doing state-imposed forced labor. The criminals forcing these victims to work are profiting about $150 billion annually. Most people believe that slavery was abolished around 50 years ago, but it wasn't. This crime is called human trafficking, otherwise known as modern-day slavery. It is becoming one of the most frequent, unreported, and widespread crimes internationally. Human trafficking consists of a multitude of different crimes, but there are three main aspects. Firstly, sex trafficking. It is the most common type of trafficking because it generates the most money, is low risk, and the person can be used many times. In most parts of the world, there is a high demand for child pornography, prostitution, live sex shows, and personal sexual servitude, which is why the business generally does so well. Another type of human trafficking is labor trafficking, which is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, or obtaining a person for a labor services through the use of force, fraud, or coercion for subjection to involuntary servitude, debt, bondage, or slavery. The third largest component of human trafficking is child trafficking. Both forced labor and sex trafficking are prevalent in the exploitation of children. The owners do so well off the crime because they don't pay their laborers, force them to produce an extreme amount of goods and services each day, and don't allow them basic human rights such as clean water or electricity. While human trafficking has been a known crime for years, most of the factors have gone undetected, causing the issue to worsen over time. The leading cause of human trafficking is structural inequality, culturally sanctioned practices, poverty, economic insecurity, organ trade, bonded labor, and gender violence, which are all further exacerbated by corruption. Countries that are overpopulated, don't sanction equal rights, and have a corrupt government often get hit the worst by human traffickers. Many times, people are lured with false promises in hope for finding better opportunities when trafficked. We need to help the victims of human trafficking because everyone deserves to feel safe, cared for, and valued. The key is to be able to educate the population on how to prevent cases along with how to identify a situation that involves trafficking. There are so many ways to give a helping hand. Something as simple as showing compassion by donating money, providing essential services, collecting supplies, or spreading awareness can improve the lives of these victims immensely. All of these simple tasks will provide low-income organizations with the knowledge and resources they need in order to rehabilitate victims into a better place physically, emotionally, and mentally. Frolics of Hope Africa has made major gains by initiating 5 young victims to now having over 20 beds to support exploited children in need to be rescued and rehabilitated into society. They have worked hard to create relationships and build resources to rebuild the core of these children. Unfortunately, these resources only go so far. It's important we help carry the weight and give financial strength to support and continue the progress in permanently creating solutions for the at-risk youth. I met Ms. Nakatha through an online search for an organization specifically helped to help the trafficked youth. I had many failed attempts in finding organizations who aligned with my passion. After I discovered Frolics of Hope Africa and contacted them, Ms. Nakatha sent me a list of capital improvements the organization is planning. I quickly jumped at the opportunity to create a play therapy center. I already knew people in my local community who could educate me and support my cause, like Judge Bowman, Ms. Russo, Ms. Asha, Ms. DuPont, Ms. Janae, Ms. Gouda, Mr. Torkelson, Ms. Bloom, Ms. Green, and Ms. Dottie, and others who have all been a resource to me and would like to recognize their support. Fortunately, I also have a generous family who had gave me birthday money that I could utilize for financial muscle in completing the play therapy center. With the help of my parents, I transferred the money to start the construction of a play center in place of a garage. After it was constructed, Ms. Nakatha sent me photos. I was able to set up a play therapy center and take a tour of the facility this week. As I toured the facility, thought about how the social workers would benefit from having a trauma healing center. However, I quickly realized that this was not just a therapy room, but a livelihood for the children. It was so rewarding to see the children's excitement to have toys in an area to play in. So many of us have a safe and loving home with stability and normalcy. We have toys and endless resources and get to be able to get the best education and ensure our success. For these children, this was not just a room for therapy, but a distraction from the pain and suffering from their nightmare that they truly lived. It gave them another room to explore with positive energy and posters telling them that their life's hurdles would become their strength and move on to something better. It was an escape to have a space to dance, to talk, and to meditate in, to take their minds off of their reality. It's a space to learn, accept, and heal and grow from their experiences. I plan to continue to support the organization. I have already partnered with psychologists from America and Germany who will teach social workers in Africa how to better help these children work through their trauma and provide them with useful coping mechanisms. The Play Therapy Center provides specific supplies, allowing the children and social workers to work through the victim's trauma. Finally, we are in search for connecting attorneys and government officials to help educate Frolics of Hope Africa with the practices the United States uses to handle human trafficking issues. I plan to continue this process when I get back to America through various channels of communication. Although this program is amazing and will be a huge milestone for Frolics of Hope Africa, it is not enough. We need your help. Frolics of Hope Africa needs your help to rehabilitate these children and rid them of their trauma. So I hope you can find it in the goodness of your heart to help these children find a somewhat normal way to navigate through their trauma and all that they have endured, and find a stable footing back on their path back to rehabilitation. One way you can make an impact is to donate to Frolics of Hope Africa so it can be an outreach program for the youth and allow them to treat more kids. Help be the bridge to build a better future for these innocent beings. Thank you again for the honor to be here with all of you today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Make some hearty claps once more. As you are aware that Frolics of Hope Africa are more than just a non-profit organization. We are survivors offering hope to those in need. Join our community and help us keep children and young women safe and give them access to education and development opportunity. Wow, that's very nice.
The CEO, Nkade, our guest, Madam Jerry, and all the distinguished guests, good afternoon. Are you not happy? Wave me on the hair to confirm that you're happy. Apologies for coming late this afternoon. I had a small accident that I sorted, so don't ask why Madam Jane Mugo got late. My name is Jane Mugo, the CEO of Trimo Security and Private Investigators Limited. I'm based in Nairobi, but our work is in Africa, and it's global, whereby we normally do investigations. We work hand in hand with government. And one of the projects that we've done in my company for the last 5 years, it is to support the orphans, is to support the children that are beloved in the country. We've also done a lot of cases that are concerning the human trafficking. And when my sister came to my office in Nairobi and she requested me to attend the event, I really did agree, though it was on a short notice. Actually, I was not in the country. I came last evening purposely to attend the event. I'm supposed to be going back. So I still understand what I did. So I just wanted to, my sister spoke and wide about what they do, what is human trafficking, and maybe as an investigator, I can just tell you maybe a few causes of human trafficking, what my company is doing together with the government of Kenya, and where I normally go to visit those cases. First of all is maybe we need to train, we need to talk to our children on how to identify strangers or people maybe like who are out to get involved in human trafficking. Sometimes you find that human trafficking is, most of the people who are targeted are the young, the children who are maybe under 18, and it's happening physically, it's happening online, whereby sometimes you find that somebody has broken up with their partner, and maybe they feel the only way they can do is to revenge. And by revenging it, sometimes they normally use maybe pest online, strangers online to lure the girls, to lure the boys, and sometimes they even sell them out of the country forever. Sometimes girls are taken up and they are taken to be like house girls and to work underage, and that is also a way of human trafficking. Some of the ways that we are supposed to identify those people is maybe people who are dishonest. We also need, in my company, I've done that to a children's home in Nairobi that is called Baraka Children's Home. We need to train our children, we need to train the grown-ups on something we call self-defense. When a child or when a grown-up know about self-defense, it can help them when it comes to people who are targeting them. Maybe people want to kidnap them, people want to take them by labor, people want to have sex by them. You'd imagine if our children 10 of them are trained about taekwondo. 10 of them are trained on how to protect themselves. They are going to train more children, and this is going to make our children safe, and even the grown-up are going to be safe. Another way that we need to be able to stop or regulate it is by reporting cases of human trafficking. If you realize there's a child, if you realize that somebody is locked up in the room, and maybe they're not even allowed to come out of the room, it's always going to take a picture. It's always going to report to a village elder, a government representative, or even a number that our CEO shared the other day online. Reporting the matter can also help reduce these cases of human trafficking. We normally say that when you do charity work, charity does not mean necessarily giving money. You may not give money to Frolics to support the event, but even supporting the cases of human trafficking, even guiding them, even counseling them, giving them idea like my company promised that I'm going to be training the children about how to protect themselves. We normally have trainers from all over the country, and every time we have training, we're going to organize with Ankada over here, and we can be able to come down to Nakuru. We train the children without charging them anything, so that they can be able to train other children. And we also need to monitor our children. The moment they come in this school, sometimes there are those cases of maybe they feel like they are not wanted in the community. We need also to be able to accept them in the community. We need to be able to make them busy, but maybe like take them to specific schools, talking to their guardians, talking to their families, so they don't be able to get back in the street. We also have people who are involved in drugs, and sometimes they normally target our children. They use them for selling of the drugs. They use them for even all the kinds of crimes. And I'm happy that the other day I was having a meeting with my sister. She spoke about the police. She spoke about the office of the DPP, the judiciary. I've been giving support. I told her, I have been in it. I've been in the work of fighting for the children, fighting for the orphans, and why don't I support this particular farm? I'm very proud of my sister. I'm proud of everybody who attended this event today, and I want to promise you that as time goes by, we want to support. When you give back to community, it attracts the blessings. It is satisfying to attract that, and there's nothing good as a human being when you get to sleep in the evening and you've put a smile on a child, when you've put a smile on someone. So this afternoon, since my sister has spoken so much, mine is to confirm Trimo Security and Private Investigators Limited will be working with you, girl, and we want to support your noble idea that you are doing. We may be able to accept that it is on a short notice that we got the invitation, but we normally say better late than never. I brought a few books over here, and in the book I've spoken about one of the topic in my book, my life as a detective. I'm the top spy in Africa. I got an award 2015 being the best detective in Africa. In that book, if you can grab a copy and then we support the children, I've spoken about human trafficking. I've spoken about the cases I've done. And also those people maybe were in social media, if you follow my social media page, Jane Mogo, that is the social media page. We also have Jane Trimo in my Instagram page. We normally speak about human trafficking a lot. I spoke about that sometimes back, and I'm going to speak about it by using my social media influence, because we normally say social media has power. So don't say that I don't have money, like the culture people who are here. They have encouraged us. They have made us to love. They have made us to enjoy. The children have enjoyed. So we'll continue supporting you. We'll continue telling more people, Kenyans and everybody in the world, about what Nkada you are doing. Don't give up. Sometimes it's challenging when you start something. I started a children's home sometimes in Nairobi. It is very challenging, but I can promise you, the moment you see more than 2-3 people here today promising to support you, God is watching what you're doing, and we'll go far. And a few years to come, Frolics is going to be far from where we are. So don't give up. We are behind you, and God is going to bless whatever you are doing. To our children who are over here, we love you. Don't give up, and everybody who has come, thank you very much. It is satisfying what you're doing, and may God bless you, and I love you all. Asanteni sana.
It's amazing. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite a special person. She's the CEO, she's the director, she's the activist. Make some hearty claps for Nkata Mogao as she makes her way to the stage.
Thank you so much. First of all, to our guest, my name is Nkatha Mugao, born and brought up in Tharaka Nithi, exported and, consumed in Nakuru County. Yes, I'm a product of Tharaka, so I must give due, the staff wherever it belongs. So lazima tushukuru that they raised a giant like me. Najua amutaniambia mimi ni giant, but I know. Anyway, so I've been given this opportunity to appreciate each and every one of you for coming. But before I get to that, allow me specifically give you a brief of what exactly transpired before we came into having Frolics of Hope. As I always mention, those who are close to me, they know. Frolics of Hope came much after the thought that I had. The biggest idea I had dreamt back in the day was to have a rescue mission vehicle. You know the way you have an issue in the community and maybe you have a lady, a mom who is about to deliver a baby and they're not able to access services from the medical staff. That was my biggest dream. Like my entire world felt like, I come from Tharaka Nithi, we don't have roads. And it is a common thing for most of us, from the rural perspective, we all know that. So I felt that, growing up and seeing how much the women were suffering down in the village, that I had to get somewhere where I could do something for these women. And the biggest dream I had was, I got to, of course, in the corporate world, I rose into the ranks, and at some point I was a regional manager working with Old Mutual. So at this point, of course, the company is giving you the company car. So I decided the small vehicle that I had bought can be used for that. So I even got, I hired a driver to help me out. They could rush to those villages, pick a mom in distress and take them to hospital, pick a child in distress and take them to hospital, all for free. By the way, there was nobody who was fueling the car except for me. Then at some point, just like about 6 months down the line, I got stuck with 6 children. Yeah, I know that look. 6 children that you have not planned. You didn't wake up and plan, I will have these 6 children, so I have to get a budget for their meals, for their accommodation, for who is going to take care of them when I go to work. I didn't have that budget. But now we've rescued these children and we're supposed to take them to hospital. We take them to hospital, but the children's department cannot provide us a safe space for these children as the parents go through rehabilitation. So yes, kisheria, you cannot separate the siblings. So I got stuck with 6 children. I had to hire a nanny for them. I had to clothe these children for 6 good months. I had to find them, access to medical care whenever and wherever they needed it. These are kids, you just woke up in the morning, umeenda kazi, and you come in the evening, you're a mother of 6. You didn't sign up for it. You didn't even have a plan for them. You didn't even have a plan B, So, yeah. And so I reached out to a team from UNICEF. And, of course, everybody talks about malnutrition and all this, because all of them, they were cases of kwashiako, by the way, like severe malnutrition. Because I remember the doctors telling me, if these children continue staying, if this child had continued being where you found them, you'd actually be planning their burial today. And that's the evening that the doctor is telling you that. And where I come from, in my family, we don't plan for people's burials. We don't. In fact, you don't mention that someone is about to die. And so I had to do what I had to do. So when I reached out to the team from UNICEF, who I believed by then they had all the muscles and all the power and all the money to help out in terms of educating the community on malnutrition and how to salvage the lives of these young ones, I was told, yeah, we can help. Unfortunately, we cannot help you because you're coming to us as Nkatha. So, yeah. And I had to do something. Now, I don't want to ask you for support as Nkatha. So, and because I know you cannot support me as Nkatha, Frolics had to be born. So I called, into that delivery room, I called like 3 of my closest friends, and I asked them, what do you think we should call this organization that we are about to give birth to? And they told me several names. In fact, we started as Diamonds of Hope. Then we realized Diamonds of Hope is a registered organization in South Africa. And, one of my friends, coincidentally, is also called Eric, just like our Eric here. So now, the guy was like, how about we call it Frolics of Hope? So I was like, wait, Frolics is an actual English name. Yeah, that was the first time I was also hearing it. So yeah, we did the name search and there's no organization like that. So we were like, okay, we can go ahead and register. So that's how Frolics of Hope came into being. So today you're standing here, or rather you're seated here to appreciate and, be grateful to God for the last 4 years, like since registration, 4 years, and since our activities 5 years ago, that we are here to celebrate the doing of the Lord. Through Frolics of Hope Africa, we've supported more than 4,500 families in Kenya. And yeah, thank you. And we've also done direct support to more than 1,800 children in this country. So that means, and well, not in this country alone, by the way, I must add that, because we've had clients come all the way from Lebanon. We've also handled cases, from Dubai. We've handled several cases from Tanzania. And you see, yes, we are registered in Kenya, but the work we do transcends the boundaries. So that's how important this work is for us and for the community. So back to me appreciating everyone who's been part of planning this and making this day a success. I'm grateful that all of you came. I know some of us were supposed to be here, but there's an event at the county government, so majority of the government officials wouldn't make it. But we are grateful. We made it here, right? So I'll start by appreciating Isha Global through Isha. Thank you so much for the work that you did. You actually left us very excited. At some point, I remember we were getting all teary and all emotional. Personally, let me be honest, I think I cried at night. Yeah, when they're not watching. You don't cry when babies are there, But yeah, through your support, I know it has costed you a lot to, make it happen. But I'm so proud of the work that you're starting off, and I hope and pray we continue the good work and we don't give up. Okay, because then it's challenging. I must prepare you for that, because we'll walk this journey together. It's not going to be easy. I know Mom has told you some of the challenges that we've gone through. I know you've talked to a couple of us who are in this field, and we can tell you it's not a walk in the park. But I know you have a very supportive family for a start, at least you somewhere, So for the members, maybe you can take your time and, help me appreciate Isha. She's actually set up the play therapy area, and the play therapy is a project that's going to cost them at least $5,000 plus. That's about an estimate of about 500,000 Kenya shillings. And hapo ndio mnapiganga makofi watoto. Yes, so thank you so much, Isha. That's quite a huge bit of your money and your time. I know it was like your entire birthday gifts. But yeah, thank you. It is such a huge sacrifice, and we appreciate it. And so the other partner I'd like to appreciate is Tremor Securities. Thank you, Jane, for being part of this team and, coming on board and helping us. The other person I'd like to appreciate is NGO Whisperer. The NGO Whisperer is run by one Dr. Caroline Opinde. She's based in the UK. And through her, we've seen some technical support in terms of capacity building for the Frolics of Hope staff. Yeah, so the NGO Whisperer has been really supportive in terms of capacity building for our staff at Frolics of Hope. And through them, we've been able to, reach out to various organizations, set networks, at least be able to fundraise here and there, and, be able to reach out to more children as well. And the other partner I'd like to appreciate is Pathfinder Travels. Through them, we have a package for someone special. That one, sijui itakuwaje, but MC will tell us. We have Pathfinder Travelers and Travels who are giving us a package to Naivasha. Yeah. And then we have the World Streamer Safaris, who's given us a package for 3 days, and that's 3 days and 2 nights in the Masai Mara. And we have the Pollination Project. Through the Pollination Project, allow me to take a moment here and say that the Pollination Project gives grants to small organizations like Frolics of Hope. And through them, we were able to set up our office and even have like an official communication link between the 4,800 volunteers we have countrywide. So that way, anybody who has a case of child abuse and child trafficking is able to report it. And through them, that's how probably you've noticed that our numbers for the children who have gone through kidnapping and trafficking have actually increased. So in some through the direct donation to the organization, we've been able to support these children without, much struggle since May. So it's quite something that I'd like that taken into account and at least, be able to appreciate them. The other team is from Sitam Nakuru. I know Reverend was here in the morning. That's our senior pastor, where the children fellowship, and through the church, we are able to access pro bono counselors, and, the children are able also to access, the spiritual healing for themselves. So it is, it's actually been great partnering with all of you. So finally, allow me appreciate Buraha Zenoni for being a super supportive team and making this day a success. We are actually here because of their director, Mr. Gitonga, who made sure that, despite the tough economic times, we can be able to access the hall and at least, have some good refreshments and fresh food. I believe tumeshiba. Are our stomach affairs well taken care of? Thank you. So that's a confirmation that we are good. So thank you so much once again. And it's been an honor getting to meet all of you. Some of you we are meeting today for the first time. So I'm really grateful. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you here. And please do support us. It may not be financially. We also ask for technical support. So where you can, please come in and, help us make the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, our director Nkatha Mugao. Such a good vote of thanks. We want to go to the cake. Naona watoto wanameza mate, si ndio? Hamtaki keki? Ni kumeza mate ndio mmezi? Sawa sawa. Aya, Madam Miriam and Teteri, you will lead us in that cake cutting. Miriam and Teteri.
Jamani, 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 nauliza nani apendi tam-tam?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm happy this afternoon to be here. We're having our anniversary cake. We're celebrating our event of reporting, rescuing, rehabilitation, repatriation, and reintegration process that you've taken through for the 4 years up to this moment. Yes.
Madam Director, you're supposed to come over here so that because
Okay, so thank you so much. This Frolics at 4. Yes, at 4. It is 4 years of knocking down doors. It is 4 years of dodging bullets. It's 4 years of sleeping on the road. It is 4 years of, all being broke, by the way, and not having a salary, sleepless nights, sacrifice, tears, name it. But still, it is 4 years of God's grace. It is 4 years of impacting lives. It is 4 years of transforming the nation. It is 4 years of all the joys and the smiles of unconditional love that comes with children. So today, I am proud of the pain and the smiles that come with it. It is always double joy and double the tragedy, but we continue the work. So yes, I'm happy to. Can we enjoy this thing? It looks delicious.
Kata keki kata, kata usiogope, kata usiogope, kata yako mwenyewe, kata yako mwenyewe, kata 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 keki kata, kata keki kata, kata usiogope, waselele watu, kata keki kata, kata kata keki kata, kata keki kata. Kata usiogope. Kata usiogope. Kata yako mwenyewe. Kata yako mwenyewe. Kata keki kata. Kata keki kata. Kata usiogope. Kata usiogope. Kata yako mwenyewe. Wala huku wazima. Hebu leo jitokeze. Hebu leo jioneshe. Kata keki kata. Kata keki kata. Kata usiogope. Kata usiogope. Kata yako mwenyewe. Wala huku wazima. Hebu leo jitokeze. Hebu leo jioneshe. Kata keki kata. Kata keki kata. Kata usiogope. Kata usiogope. Kata yako mwenyewe. Kata yako mwenyewe. habari gani? Mzuri sana kwa makelele wageni wakaribishwa Kenya yetu unafogoda. Jambo bwana, habari gani? Mzuri sana wageni wakaribishwa Kenya yetu hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, habari gani? Mzuri sana, tuimbe tucheze sote Kenya yetu hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, habari gani? Mzuri sana wageni wakaribishwa Kenya yetu hakuna matata.
After finishing, as you continue playing the music, I'll invite Asat with Isha Global with your team. You come, you take a piece, and you'll be served. You'll be served by our director, Madam Jane. You'll join. You come and each and every person who has come, let us continue. Look at the photo. Look at the photo. Yes. Wow. Wonderful.
कुछ होता है ओ जा Erero ya hobere munda. Yari anga munda. Erero ya hobere munda. Shorinda.
Aya, hii ingine si mtawapelekea pia waonje. Sawa sawa. Tulianza vizuri. We started with a word of prayer and God has been faithful. Tunamaliza vizuri. So, Bwana Eric, umekuwa hapa umetusaidia sana from morning. Nataka ukuje utumalizia kwa maombi ukiongea jambo moja. Sauti iko? Aya, kuja. Ati niite ule rafiki yako? Wacha amalize kula keki. Eric to pray for us. Eric, the time is yours now. So that we may have tukuwe na time nzuri, watu wapige picha. Sawa sawa.
Praise the Lord. My name's Eric Diva Mwaka. Tufunge macho tuombe na tusimame. Tufunge macho. Baba yetu ulio mbinguni, tunarudisha shukrani kwa siku ya leo. Tulianza na maombi na tunafunga na maombi. Tunakushukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa kutupa nguvu leo kuweza kukongamana na marafiki zetu kutoka nje ya nchi, marafiki zetu wa kutoka Nairobi, marafiki zetu wa kuja kututumbuiza hapa, na sisi wote marafiki wa Ngatha. Tunaomba Mwenyezi Mungu ukampa Ngatha nguvu aweze kushughulikia watoto, kwa sababu ni sisi binadamu wale umetuumba tunatenda haya madhambi kudhulumu wa watoto. Mwenyezi Mungu, tunakuja mbele zako tukiomba msamaha. Tukiomba msamaha, tunarudia kuomba msamaha kwa sababu sisi sote ni viumbe vyako. Lakini sisi wengine tumewacha viumbe vyako vinahangaika duniani. Kwa hayo machache naomba kwa jina la Yesu Kristo mwokozi wetu. Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana. We now call tumefunga mkutano wetu wa Anti-Human Trafficking Conference and Fundraising Gala. And then there is kuna zile zawadi ambayo Ngatha alikuwa anasema atapeana. Those who have supported this mission. Madam Ngatha, she'll know how you will. Wale wamesupport mission. As a token of appreciation. As a token of appreciation. But as for now, you can feel free to network. Ukitaka hata kuniitisha namba unaweza niitisha. I go by the name MC Genius. Thank you very much DJ Neva. Thank you very much Sulab Studio. You're doing a great job. Asante sana all the Madare dancers for the nice performance and each and every person who has made it possible na amekuja hapa. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. Asante sana. On behalf of Frolics of Hope Africa, I say thank you, thank you, thank you. DJ, thank you very much. Asante sana. God bless you. God bless you. Let us network and know each other. Madare, musinini vile mulikuja ati ndio mnakaa munajuana, usiogope hata detective. Sawa sawa. Unamsalimia, unamuonanga tu Facebook na Twitter na Instagram. Akwangi mbaya. Sawa sawa. Hiyo ni mimi nimesema. Sawa sawa. Asante sana. DJ Coco Studio. Thank you very much.